Hey guys, Captain Johnson here. We're going to talk a little bit about some changes that we made to our large area search rope. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about kind of the old way and why we made some changes. So if you'll follow me down here, take a look at the existing search rope and kind of how they operate. Obviously, the officer is going to be in charge of holding the rope. Inside the rope bag, you have 100 feet of line. And the idea being that we're going to anchor up to outside the structure and use this as a way to be oriented in larger buildings. Could be a big box, could also be a long corridor or multiple small rooms like a nursing home or a classroom or something like that. The new way that we're doing this is very similar to what we have done in the past. Obviously with the old way, we had tag lines that were on your air pack, and you would come in, and when you got to a ring, you get to a ring, you'd clip your carabiner in on your tag line, and you branch out and search. Ben, if you'd go get me an air pack off the Quint, we'll talk a little bit about why we're changing. While he's grabbing that air pack, let's talk a little bit about the rope. The new rope, or the new bag, and the old are the exact same rope on the inside, 100 foot long. You got rings every 20 feet, and a knot is indicating at how many rings you are. So if you're at one ring or one knot, you're at your first ring, you're 20 feet in. If you come across 3 knots and then a ring, you're 3 in, which means 60 feet. Again, you're at 100 feet, or 100 feet total on the rope. Like I said, the old way of doing things, we would have ropes that would be attached to the air pack. Well, here's the problem. There's not a single air pack in this department anymore that probably has one of those rope bags attached to it. Pretty much making the old way of doing things obsolete. They stopped fitting in the seats. The bags were routinely just kind of discarded or set underneath the seat and weren't actually attached to the air pack anymore. So we needed to find a new way of doing things, which brings us to the new setup here. Again, as far as the actual search rope goes, everything is exactly the same. You still have 100 feet of rope, still have a carabiner to anchor yourself to the outside of the structure. You still have rings every 20 feet, 1 knot indicating first ring, 20 feet inside the structure. The difference being, instead of the tag line being on your air pack, the tag lines are now actually attached to the search rope itself. So we've taken this main compartment that is used to kind of house tools and stuff, and we divided it in half. So now you have 2 pouches of tag line on either bag. These tag lines are carabinered to a ring right here. You just take it and disconnect it just like that, and like so. Also inside of here, you have 25 feet of tag line. These are actually carabinered to the inside of each pocket. So in theory, you could detach one line entirely, 2 carabiners, 1 line. You could connect it to the other one. If you had to extend a search out a little bit, you're at the extent of your line, you need to get just a little bit further into another room, you could bump up. Now you have an extra 50 foot just to be able to get a little bit deeper inside of one particular room. So the way this works, it's fairly straightforward. It's just like what we used to do. You're going to have 2 searchers with the officer. The officer is going to be in charge of this rope. You get inside to an area where you decide that you want to start your search. Your firefighters are going to come up, and each one of them is going to grab a carabiner, unhook it from the rings right here, and branch out and manage your search. One of the advantages of this way is you no longer have to come back to the pack and attach your ring to venture further into the structure. You can actually just stick with the officer and walk right next to him, or crawl, whichever you're having to do in that particular environment, to get a little bit deeper into the structure. And the officer gets to kind of dictate when they want to send their searchers out again. You might come across more classrooms or rooms in a nursing home or whatever, or you may get to a new area inside of the structure. If you're in a big box, the idea would be that every time you come to a ring, you would start a circular pattern around your area. Once your searchers have completed that search of that area, they'd come back. You're going to coil up your tag line like so. On your way back to the oriented officer who's staying put with their search bag, advance to the next ring or advance to the next area of opportunity to search. And again, you're going to extend out your 25 feet and go search in that area. This is basically just a way to execute a oriented man search. With the officer being in charge of the bag, they are your oriented man. So we're going to set up and we're going to show you a couple different scenarios of how we're going to do this search. Okay, so the first scenario that we're going to talk about right now is, it could be your nursing home or your high school class halls or anything like that, some kind of long corridor of multiple rooms. For this case, we're going to be pretending that in the bay is actually outside the structure. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to anchor our search line as close to the point of entry as we can. The reason we want to do that is we want to be able to maximize the 100 foot of search line that we can. We want to try to avoid anchoring 30 feet away from the front door to the truck or something like that, because then we only have 70 feet of line to make entry into the building. So Jeff is our officer for this case. He's going to anchor to the point of entry. So, all right, and the officer is going to lead the way as the oriented person. He's going to venture into our hallway here, maintaining connection with that main search line.
Got a room to the left.
You can go to the right. As he's searching, as he completes his search, he'll communicate with the officer, hey, this room's clear.
All right, moving up.
He's coming back. They're talking to each other about what we're doing.
All right, got a room to the right, another room to the left. Room clear. Right's clear. Waiting on the left.
And notice as they finish their search, as they join back up at the officer, they're coiling up the search line in their hands just to try to avoid getting tangled on anything.
You guys ready? Clear. One ring in, moving up. Hold up, got a room to the left. Left's clear. Left's clear. All right, moving up. I got one room to the right, one room to the left. Pick 'em up.
I'll stop here.
Left's clear. Looks good. Room's clear. Right's clear.
So that kind of shows you how we're going to use this in a long corridor with multiple small rooms that we want to check. One important note to take away from that is the rings on the actual search line in this case aren't necessarily a signal to branch out and search, because you're searching actual areas that you come across in this case. The rings more provide you some knowledge as to how far you are in the building. The next thing we're going to talk about is actual big box open area. We'll get repackaged up and we'll go talk about that. Okay, so in this scenario, we're going to talk about like a true big box, a big open area, like a warehouse or something like that. In this case, your rings are going to be kind of the indicator that now it's time to branch out and search. So they're telling you two things: how deep you are inside the structure, but also that we need to go ahead and send our searchers out. This way is a lot more dependent upon the officer being in charge of the actual tag lines. If you wanted to compare this to something, think of the way we do shore-based sweeps, where we allow the diver to perform a half circular pattern, and then we give them a little bit more line, perform another half pattern, give them some more line. In this case, the officer is going to be doing that with both of those tag lines. You're going to come to a ring, which is every 20 feet. Now you're going to branch out and search. One searcher is going to take the left side, the other searcher is going to take the right side. The officer will give them a little bit of line. They're going to branch out and search. As soon as they've completed kind of one full pattern, they're going to communicate that. He's going to extend them out a little bit more line. And again, the same process is going to rinse and repeat until they've extended all the way to their whole 25. You come to rooms or small corridors or closets, just like any other search, we're going to be communicating that. And the officer gets to make a decision as to whether or not he's going to bump up into that area to allow him to get further inside of there, being mindful of how deep we are inside the structure. We'll show you to about 2 rings, And in this scenario, you're going to want to kind of split the middle of these big open rooms because we want to maximize those search lines. We don't really want to stick to walls because then we're kind of killing the whole use of these search lines. We want to be able to be right in the middle of this so our searchers can touch as much room as they possibly can.
Oh yeah, you're recording. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're already anchored up to the outside, so the officer is going to lead the way in. He's going to come on in, and once you get to that first ring, that's when you're going to execute your first search. Officer has got both hands on the search line.
First ring, all right, go.
In this case, the officer is going to be in charge of both of those tag lines. So he's going to keep a hand on both lines. He's going to give them out
Oh, good.
enough room to be able to search out about 6 feet or so you're not missing any area.
Right, good. There's the slide. That's good. That's good. There's the slide. Right, good. Right, good. There's the slide. Gotta go right. Go right. That's good. That's good. There's the slide. Right, more slide. More slide right. More slide right. More slide right. Then hold up when you're done. Right. I got him in a room to the right. Room's clear. Room's clear.
All right, guys, hold up right there. So notice that our firefighter over here found another room, and he was clearly communicating that with the officer. That's very important so the officer can keep track of all of his searchers. And he also didn't allow the other firefighter to get a little too far ahead of him, so he was able to manage his resources and kind of keep at least contact with both of them. He wanted this guy to not get too far ahead, so he held this person, hey, stop your search for a second until this guy can get back to me. So once they've both cleared their pattern, they're going to come back to the officer and they're going to advance to the next ring. So go ahead and come back. Coiling up their line. And now we're going to advance to the second ring.
Ready? All right. Advance to the second line. All right, second line. Second ring. Sorry. All right, start your searches.
So again, the officer's taking control of both search lines and he's going to allow them to search out.
Good, left slide. That's good. Left slide. Right, good. Right slide. That's good. Left slide. Right, good. Right slide. That's good. Left slide. Right, good. Looks good. Right slide, left slide. That's good. Right, good. Left slide, right slide. Let's go, guys. Right corner. Right corner. More slack. More slack right. More slack right. More slack right. More slack up. Hold up, left. We're good over here. Good.
All right, so at this point, the officer would call both of his searchers back. Feel pretty confident that this whole area has been searched. We're going to reset. We're going to come back to the officer. We're going to cool up our lines, and now we're going to advance deeper into the structure. At this point, we're 2 rings, so we're 40 feet in. We got to repeat this process about 3 more times. And that's pretty much it.